Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live episode of the StattoJoe podcast, hosted by me, StattoJoe, and my glamorous co-host, Luke Sherwin.
That's me.
That's
Hello.
you.
Welcome everyone to the show. It is great to be here. No slagging off for my hair or sunglasses, please. But do admire the lovely Stoke
Mhm.
City shirt on display. It is a lovely time all round. Joe, how are you keeping?
I'm all right. We're still taking in all the football. It feels like it never stops. I shouldn't be complaining, but it feels like it never stops. Um, I mean, it's good. It's great to have football on every single day. It's a bit tiring from my point of view trying to keep up with it, but apart from
Yeah,
that, great. It's great.
I
How are
agree.
you?
And because I'm good, but because there's so many games, like you miss one and then you're like, oh, flip.
Yeah,
Should have watched that, and
yeah.
it's kind of frustrating at times when you miss a game. But sometimes in life you can't just watch every single one,
So true.
which is a bit sad. But hey, that's life, I guess. But Joe, let's get cracking because the show's going to be slightly shorter tonight, just to be 45-minute job. But hopefully you'll all enjoy what we have to say. And the best place to start is, of course, where we finished on Sunday evening. So the first game that we want to chat about since then was the game that was also in the group that England are in, Group
Mm.
D, Scotland against Czech Republic. Joe, what were you expecting from the Scotland Czech Republic game?
Uh, Not a high scoring game. Wouldn't have been surprised with a 0-0. I thought it might have been 1-0 either way, but I also thought Scotland might have got the win purely based on history in terms of this is like a big historic moment for them, and it's in Glasgow, and I kind of thought that would carry them through. And to be fair to them, just looking at the numbers here very quickly, just briefly, they didn't do badly. They had 19 shots, a goal, but only four on target. They amassed an XG of 1.95, which actually was pretty much almost double what Czech Republic managed. They managed just over one. Um, but Czech Republic scored an absolutely ridiculous goal. Good evening, Mikey. How's it going? And you know, I don't know. Watching the game, Scotland didn't have enough up front. I think that's their big problem, isn't it? That's their big problem.
Yeah, it really is. Like what we saw from Scotland was almost a very similar situation to what we've said about Liverpool many times before,
Mm,
or Arsenal this season. It's just they made a lot of chances, but they just could not put the ball in the back of the net. 19 shots, but only four on target. Not a good turnaround. I feel like Mo Salah was probably on the pitch for Scotland. It
yeah.
was ridiculous.
Mm,
I expected more from Scotland, if I'm being completely honest. I think
yep.
you have a big loss in Kieran Tierney not being fit
Yep.
because even him as a left-sided centre back in that back five, he offers something a bit better. It was to give Robertson hope for the best. Absolutely, play like
Yeah.
Liverpool. Hope that you win the Champions League. Yeah, I think Scotland missed Kieran Tierney. I thought it was really strange that they didn't start Che Adams.
Same actually, because like he had a really good patch in the Premier League.
Yeah,
Like he proved he could score goals, and he was doing all that stuff. And I was sure he would start personally, and then they brought him on, and yeah, he didn't really end up proving effective. But I was really surprised at that myself as well. Yeah, as you said, Tierney was a big blow. Like Scotland have some good players in there, they really do. They took McTominay's in there in the midfield, Robertson. I'm probably forgetting a few as well, but like they're
yeah,
not a
it's
bad team. They're not a
it's
bad
not
team.
bad at all. A midfield three of Armstrong, McTominay, and McGinn.
Mm.
It's Premier
McGinn,
League.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
With Robertson out the left, they are Premier League players. But other than
Mm.
that, you may be lacking a little bit. Christie and Dykes up top didn't quite cut it. I think Che Adams hopefully will play a bit more. But Czech Republic didn't do too bad at all. They didn't have as many expected goals, and one of their goals was absolutely ludicrous. But the ball possession, it was lower than Scotland, but they
Mm.
did a good job with it.
Yeah.
Shout out to two solid players from the Premier League, Suchek and Kufal. Did a really solid job, as
Mhm.
we expected them to. Um, Vaklik in nets had a solid game. One of the better players probably for Czech Republic. Patrick Schick, fair play to the lad. Two
Yeah,
goals. He's up there as one of the top scorers in the tournament. That's impressive.
yeah, and unexpected. Obviously, if you had him in your fantasy, you would be laughing. Um, Even like I'm looking at pass accuracy, very poor from both. 76% from Scotland, 69% from Czech Republic. A bit of a scrappy game all in all. Um, but a bit of a blow for Scotland. This is the game they really had to target. Um,
Yeah.
because they have England and Croatia, who are, in my opinion, leagues above Czech Republic. And I'm happy to be proven wrong by that. But, for me, if Scotland wanted to qualify from this group in third place, they had to win this game, right?
Yeah.
And
I think you're
I think
absolutely spot on.
I think now they're finishing bottom. They could get a point against England because England and they might show up. But I could also see England absolutely obliterating Scotland on Friday as well. Um,
I wouldn't be half surprised if England scored four. They have the quality to score four
mm,
against the Scotland team who look championship at best.
yeah,
Most of the time, this group is an interesting one because obviously Croatia have no points as well, and the Croatia Czech Republic game in this match, coming match day, is a really fascinating one. This will
mm,
probably decide who comes second, you would assume, unless Czech Republic were to win and put the pressure on for first. Do you know what? If England finished second in their group, it wouldn't be the end of the world. They can't go
but
into expecting to come second, but it means they
mm,
wouldn't play the runner-up of Group F. So
but who would they not play the winner of Group F? No.
no, I don't think so.
So would they play the runner-up of another group then? Is that how it works?
It would just, it depends on third place teams and everything. I think
Interesting.
slightly.
Interesting.
Uh, but they would avoid one of the potential favourites, which
Mm,
isn't necessarily the end of the world. I do expect England to go through, already with the win, but
mm,
who knows what that could look like? They can't. They
interesting.
can't go with that mindset. They want
No,
to
definitely
win.
not. Yeah.
But Czech Republic are top, 2 goal difference. England second now with 1 goal difference, and Croatia and Scotland there. Scotland look like they're finishing bottom, but who knows? Anything can happen in this beautiful game that we call football.
Football, rugby.
And that was Scotland. That was Scotland and Czech Republic. We go then on to Group E.
Mm-hmm.
Monday's action continued with 2 games that I wasn't really that fussed about.
Do we have to talk about the Slovakia game? I'd rather ignore it, to be honest. We don't like Slovakia. We don't like Slovakia at all.
Why not?
Because they put us out of the
Yeah,
Euros.
I
But we don't
know.
like. So
But
we don't like
we're
them. We don't like them.
forgiving.
No, no,
We're
no. We don't like them.
forgiving.
We don't like them. Slovakia cheesed their way to a win, based on the stats anyway. Only managed 0.42 expected goals, but they scored 2. Had less possession, had less shots, had pretty much less everything. Um, their their first goal was just one of the most calamitous things you'll ever see. Was it like a shot, deflection, save, post, off the keeper, and absolutely bad. Their second goal was actually well taken. I'll give them that. Skriniar's goal was well taken. Um,
Absolutely.
and at that stage, Poland had a man sent off, and that then meant that they couldn't really push on the same way they would have liked to. Slovakia got the win 2-1, which was a big shock to me. I think it was a big shock to most people. Slovakia won that game.
Yeah.
Our predictions have been absolutely blown out of the water with the results so far. I think that's big. I think that puts that group wide open, especially because then later on that night, Spain and Sweden drew 0-0, despite Spain having 85% of the ball. You heard that right. Spain had 85%. I don't think I've
It's
ever seen that
crazy.
in my life.
Luis Enrique, Spain manager, has just decided I'm going to play like we played at Barcelona,
Yeah.
despite the fact that he doesn't have the same players or the same quality. And
Yeah.
so it works to an extent. But what we saw from Spain in the end was a team that didn't look like they were going to score a goal
Yeah, exactly.
ever
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
They played possession football. That was great, but it's only great if it actually results in something. And when you pass it around so much with such quality, fair enough. They had 90% pass accuracy with
See the number of passes.
829 passes compared to 89 passes from Sweden.
Sweden. That is
They had
that's mad.
they had 700 more passes than them.
That's
700.
absolutely ludicrous.
It was
Ludicrous.
so nuts, so nuts. But Spain just don't quite have that quality
Mm,
in the final third. Up top
yeah,
is Alvaro Morata, who's actively being booed by the Spanish fans.
mad.
It's not a good sign for your
No,
striker.
no.
You're playing with three players in midfield: Rodri, defensive; Koke, defensive; but then Pedri is a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
Everybody's loving him. The praise he was getting. He made 97 passes. That's more than Sweden.
You
he
see when you
made
put it like that?
he made eight more passes than the whole Swedish team
His
made in
team,
that game.
yeah, that's mental.
With 92%
Oh,
possession, like he attempted 105, so he had 92% accuracy himself. Not
saves.
eight successful long balls, a successful dribble. He was the bright spark in that Spain team. I felt that kept going even whenever the rest of the team didn't look like doing
Mm,
an awful lot. His teammate Jordi Alba, Barcelona, also had a really solid game. Probably one of the best games he's played in a long time, both for
yeah.
club or country. But Spain just didn't look like they were going to put the ball in the back of the net, and I don't know where they're going to get goals.
Yeah, were you not surprised by their lineup? Um,
A
you
little
know,
bit,
because they didn't play De Gea.
yeah,
Um, they didn't play Thiago.
yeah,
Uh, or I thought they might have played. How do you pronounce his name? Oyarzabal? Is that how you say his name? Um,
sure,
like, and they didn't play your favorite player of all time, Adama Traore, um, which was I'm really
well,
joking.
guys, that's the end of the stream for tonight.
But I was surprised that like De Gea wasn't in nets. Not that it mattered, um, but like just some selections that I was surprised at. Perfect, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's fair. Thiago is a random one. You probably would have expected him to play rather than playing with both Rodri and Koke. One
yeah,
of those would help shield Thiago, and but Pedri as well is very attacking. So I wondered, did he maybe think about that? I was a little bit surprised Danny Olmo started on the left. I thought he had a good game. Ferran Torres didn't do an awful lot on the other side.
mhm,
Danny Olmo kind of played on the left, had a decent enough game. But I think he looks better as a central player, Danny Olmo, just
mhm,
slightly
yep,
behind the striker. But if Pedri's going to be playing that role, then you can't really play them both. So there's a slight issue there.
mm.
Um, Spain will have a lot of the ball for this tournament. Defensively, they look good. Jordi Alba, great.
Oh, yeah.
Pau Torres, a good player. He is Eric Laporte. Really good first performance in competitive football for Spain. And Marcus Llorente, who's had a great season, Atletico Madrid. A nice defense. You know, Simon didn't really have to do much. But yeah, decent. What did you make of Sweden? Okay, we've already discussed the fact that they barely touched the ball, but any individuals stand out?
Well, Robin Olsen, the keeper, stands out. Five saves.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, saves from inside the box. Like he had a good game himself. Kept a clean sheet, which is massive.
yeah,
Um, you see, but this is the thing that gets me. You look at that Sweden team, right? There's a few household names there, but not very many, right?
no,
It just surprises me how defensively Spain set out.
yeah,
Um, Whenever they're playing a not very strong Sweden team with no Zlatan, that's pretty much who they rely on a lot, to get their
yeah.
goals.
I,
Um,
I probably won't say this ever again, but hear me out. Michael Lustig was playing right back. He's 34.
yeah,
Adama Traore is quick. I'll give him that. Okay. He would absolutely have rinsed Michael Lustig.
clip that, clip that, clip
he he
that.
he wouldn't have done anything useful after he got past him. But he would have got past him, and maybe Pedri could run in and taken the ball off him or something and done something
Yeah,
useful. But I
too
think that
harsh.
was a weird selection,
Mm.
not to play him against a relatively not slow, but a relatively slow defense from Sweden. Victor Lindelof trying to lead the line had a decent game. Alexander Isak up top. I like him. I think
Yep,
he had
so
a,
do I.
he had a really good season. He equaled the scoring record for a Swedish player in La Liga this season,
Yeah.
tying with Zlatan. I think he played really well. He
Mhm.
showed signs of what could come for him. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a few clubs sniffing around at him this summer to see if they
Big.
could
It's a
potentially
big.
bring him in.
It's a big shop window for him. It really is. He can
Yeah,
kind of go out there and show off. Just on your point on the right back, um, the replacement right back is Emil Kraft, who I think is one of the worst footballers to have ever played in the Premier League. Um, so, like, it's just like they're quite weak. Sweden. I can't. Who's in Slovakia and Poland? They could get something. They could get a result against Slovakia. They could squirm their way into the last 16. Um, but a very
yeah.
shocking result overall. That group now is going to be interesting because Spain should we would expect Spain to win. We expected Spain to win maybe all three of their games,
Yeah.
but I think the Poland game is going to be massive now, because that's not a bad Poland team, and I think it's going to be
Although,
interesting to see what Spain do.
in saying that, Slovakia beat Poland. Like
Fluke
Poland,
though. Fluke though.
but was it though? Because
I mean, stats wise, you would say they would
but
say yes,
Poland
but
also only had a 1.43 expected goals and only 3 shots on target out of
mm,
17, which is strange from Lewandowski because he is the greatest striker in world football.
yeah,
You would expect him to do more, but I don't know. Let's have a quick look. He shots off target 2, shots blocked 3, shots on target 0. He had
locked out
a
of the game.
per game, but blocked out of the game indeed.
Yeah,
One key pass as well. Krakowiak getting sent off, I think, was the real nail in the coffin.
yeah, it
Though
was. Yeah, no, it was.
he he did not help his team out there, and I'd be curious to see what happens now with him banned. Will
Mm,
they replace him well? Will they change the system slightly? I don't know. But I will be really intrigued to see how this group goes. Slovakia will be confident. They've got 3 points.
yep.
They'll be thinking we could try and get something against Sweden here. If we got a point, realistically, we're through, and then we could rest players for the Spain game if you really wanted to.
Mm,
So I think it'll be a fascinating one to see how all of that pans out.
yep.
But yeah, we haven't predicted that group well at all so
No,
far. But I guess
Albert for me.
we'll just wait and see what happens. And then that brought us to the final group, the
Ooh,
group of death.
spicy.
It
Yeah.
was lovely that both of those games were the only games on yesterday.
Oh, yeah, it was
We
big
had
and
a
highlighted.
bit of time to process. No 2 o'clock game to make us think. Just a 5 o'clock and an 8 o'clock game. Joe, we went in a game Hungary against Portugal, France against Germany. I was expecting Portugal and France to win, and that's exactly what we got.
Exactly what we got. However, Portugal only scored their 3 goals in the last 8 minutes of the game or something stupid.
Yeah,
Um, absolutely mad that I thought Hungary played really well in the second half. In fact, I actually thought they scared Portugal numerous times in that second half.
yeah,
Really, really threatened. And I was like, Portugal might get away. Like when they scored their first goal, I was like, they're getting away with this. Like they're getting away with a 1-0 win.
yeah.
And they've been rattled. Obviously, in the end, they won 3. I think it was a very, very flattering scoreline. Very, very flattering scoreline. On the way, Mikey turned it off on the 84th minute and missed all 3 goals. You do hate to see it. The big headline from that game was obviously Ronaldo breaking the goal scoring record. First ever player to score 10 goals at the European Championships.
And then 5 consecutive tournaments as well.
And 5 consecutive tournaments, which is nuts. His second goal was really well taken, I thought. An excellent piece of skill. Penalty, obviously, it's a penalty. I don't think he was ever going to miss.
Although saying that, per Bruno Fernandes, Bruno Fernandes will be absolutely fuming.
Yeah. Well, he was taken off at that stage, I think, wasn't he? No, he got subbed off later on.
Yeah,
So I wonder
89th
was he
minute he
off?
went off.
Oh, so he was still on the pitch. Now
Yeah,
Ronaldo was never going to let him because Ronaldo knew that record was there. Like
Absolutely
that.
did.
Um, it's probably a relief for Portugal to get that first win. Obviously, they're defending the title,
Yeah,
and I think it would have been shocking if they got on if there was a 0-0 draw there. That actually would have blown that kind of group wide open as well in terms of what was going to happen with Germany, Portugal, Hungary, that kind of scene.
you're right. Yeah, it was fascinating because so we look back at Euro 2016.
Yep,
Portugal finished third in their group
yeah, they like
and
drew
won the
most of
whole.
their games.
Yeah, they won the whole thing, and I was watching this wondering, are we going to see something similar?
Mm,
We're going to see them not do that well in the group stage, but they're set up very differently now. They're set up
yeah,
extra because they have what they didn't have last time was quality all over the pitch. Now they do have quality
oh,
all over
they're
the pitch.
they're a complete team, like aren't they? They're some team.
The whole system is set up defensively solid. Guerrero, Diaz, Pepe, Semedo, terrible player, but
What a
the
player!
rest of them and Rui Patricio look solid. Back five, really good. And just in front of them, they've got Pereira and Carvalho, the
Yeah,
epitome of defensive midfielders. Can't
yep,
really pass the ball, don't do an awful lot, but will kick you if they need to. Those back seven are all just set up to feed to the front four. There's
yep.
four quality players in front of them:
Class.
Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Diogo Jota, and Bernardo Silva. All of them playing at the top level, the top level of the game. All of them having this season shown that they can play at the top level. And so to have a front four of those four players is a really good situation to be in.
Do you know what I think Portugal do so much better than Juventus? They don't rely exclusively on Ronaldo.
Yeah,
So a lot of Juventus, I watched a good bit of Juventus in the Champions League, and I noticed that it was like everything went through Ronaldo. Everything had to go through Ronaldo, right? Watching Portugal, that's not the case. Ronaldo is part of that team. I genuinely think Ronaldo loves playing for Portugal. I think it's kind of like
yeah,
a Bale thing. I think he absolutely loves playing for his country. There was one moment where Jota should have passed to Ronaldo, and Ronaldo was rightly annoyed. But that wasn't like, oh, I'm annoyed because I'm the greatest player in the world, right? Like that kind of arrogance. It was like genuinely, if he had passed, he probably would have scored, right? But watching that Portugal team, it's like this is a complete team, a real great unit. So you were saying about Semedo, he had an excellent game yesterday, actually.
he's a terrible player though. He's playing against
Terrible,
Hungary.
terrible player, excellent game.
Yeah,
Jota, poor game.
excellent player.
Excellent player, exactly. So it happens. I was chatting to my housemates yesterday when the Portugal game was on. We were saying like it is mad that Pepe is still playing. It is
Yeah.
mad that Pepe is still about. Um, but again,
That is,
I thought
that
he
is one
played well.
area, Jim. That's one area I think there's a weakness in Portugal. Ruben Diaz is great, 24,
Yeah.
superb player, one of the best in the game. But second choice is Pepe. Third
Hmm.
choice is Jose Font, who's like
Yeah.
35. They have a real issue at centre back, and I think that could come up as an issue if these players are getting tired.
Yeah.
In the league with Lille this season, did a really good job, but will be tired after that. Although it looks really good. And Pepe, if either of them gets injured, then I would feel there's an opportunity to exploit, run, attack, do whatever you have to do to target that right hand centre back that's playing alongside Ruben Diaz.
And João Felix spent the entire game on the bench. There's someone on the bench there that can do something. Looking through Portugal's bench, it's not a world class bench. That's maybe where they lack is a bit of squad depth compared to other teams. They do have some good players in there. You've got some solid players. You've got both Matinho and Ruben Neves in there who are solid enough. Rafa Silva came on, played quite well. Um, you've got Renato Sanchez can do a job if you need him, and you've got João Felix and Andre Silva. So like a decent, but I wouldn't necessarily say a mind-blowingly good bench. It's a decent bench without being like unbelievably great, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's the other thing where they maybe lack. But as we were saying, I think ultimately they persevered and pulled through a tough, resolute, defensive, hungry team who were buoyed on by 67,000 fans. Like absolutely mad.
Yeah.
The noise was crazy,
It's so
crazy.
nice to see so nice to see so many fans back, but how on
Yeah,
earth is it happening? Like
I think they must be
it
like
just
sweet.
It just seems so far away for us to have 70,000 people in one place.
Well, we're Wembley's getting 45,000 for the knockout
Okay,
games, so
great.
that's pretty big.
That
Um,
is. But Wembley is massive. I didn't know
yeah,
Hungary had a stadium that big.
Yeah, Wembley's so it's 50% capacity, so I think it's like 44 and a half. So I think Wembley's about 90,000 people.
Yeah, it is.
But it's 50% capacity. I think that'll be great for the knockout games,
Yeah,
especially semi-finals and final having that many fans.
yeah.
So yeah, we had that, and then we had the other
Although,
game we had.
so
Sorry,
say
sorry.
so just before we go on,
Mhm.
I think Hungary weren't as good in the first 80 minutes as people say they were. I think Portugal wasted quite a lot of chances.
Yeah, no, they did, 100%.
Like Ronaldo's sitter that he missed,
Yep.
that should have gone in. Diogo Jota had an attempt where it's played to him, could have taken a touch right in front of goal from a free kick, I think it was. It was
Mhm.
whipped in and he hit it first time. It's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Why? You have so much time, so much space. They had 70% possession, 7 shots on target, 4 off target. A couple of those had gone on target in the first half, which they should have done. I think the
hmm
floodgates would have opened a lot sooner. This group is looking like it's going to be who can score the most goals against Hungary to boost your goal difference.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
fascinated. But yes, as you say, we then had France against Germany in our lovely evening kickoff. Joe, what were your what was your thinking going into this game? Who did you expect to shine? What did you expect
Mhm.
to see?
Going into this game, I had France to win. But like not because I underestimate Germany, but I thought it was going to be like a 1-0, like it was. I thought it was going to be a great game, but really tight. Um, I thought ultimately it was going to be like a touch of class from an Mbappe or a Benzema that was going to kind of change the game. That's what I thought was going to happen, and I thought that Germany would have plenty of chances. And as Mikey rightly says, what a game that was! It was an absolutely phenomenal game of football, fast paced, great passing, some great attacks. Both teams going out there to win. Such a refreshing, and it was only 1-0 in the end, right? Although my post said 2-0 initially because Flippin had a typo. Um, but we've talked before about big games disappointing. You know, maybe a 0-0, 1-0. That was a 1-0 that was genuinely unreal. Mikey says game of the tournament. For that, for him, for me, it's that or Netherlands Ukraine. Game of the tournament for me. But I thought it was a stunning game of football. Do you have any thoughts yourself?
Yeah, France weren't that good.
They weren't. I agree.
And that surprised me because of the quality that they have. I don't know if it's
Mm,
because Mbappe and Benzema had a scrap, or Giroud, sorry, Mbappe and Giroud had a scrap beforehand. I'm not sure if it's because Adrien Rabiot is distinctly average. I'm not sure if it's because they just set up differently than what they maybe have done in the past.
mm,
He's playing a diamond at the moment, generally, with Kante at the base, Pogba and Rabiot, and Griezmann at
yeah.
the tip of the diamond. That's not what I expect to see from a French team who have the likes of Ousmane Dembele and Kingsley Coman as
mhm,
wide players that they could potentially bring on. That's
Yeah.
so strange. How dangerous were they on the break, though? Mikey's asking. They were, I guess,
They
but
were very dangerous.
ultimately their only shot on target was their goal. So not that dangerous, it seems. Like they
I think
didn't they could counter well. Mbappe looked rapid, but his final decisions and his actual attempts or passes in the final third really let him down.
I think the stats make it look worse because obviously those two disallowed goals, right? So they were like, and there were very very slight, like it was literally milliseconds in decision making. You know, they on the counter for me at times they looked like they could rip Germany apart. Um, I personally thought that Germany were actually very good as well, and I think that they're not
Yeah,
getting enough credit. Um, Statistically, like if we go through the stats, Germany kind of were on top for a lot of them.
yeah,
Um, XG more, possession more, total shots 2.5 times more than France. Same number of shots on target. They only had 10% shots on target, which is really poor.
yeah,
Um, you know, big chances. They had one, they missed it. You know that Germany ultimately played well, and they look. I thought they looked quite good. I actually think they looked better than people thought they would.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. And I think that it doesn't really surprise me too much, but um, where are they going to get goals from as well? Like
yeah, I know.
they don't have Miroslav Klose
Mm,
to put the ball in. They have Kai Havertz who can score. He scored in the Champions League final. I'm not saying he's never going to score, but he doesn't. He's not a striker. Thomas Muller isn't really going to score that much, and Serge Gnabry is fine, but again,
mhm.
he looks good in Bayern's team, but in this team, not so much. Gundogan can show up and score a goal. You know, we've
Yeah,
discussed that before. And Tony Cruz can score sometimes. But I think, yeah, actually putting the ball in the net is another issue that Germany are going to have. France, um, Timo Werner, yeah, fair enough. Actually, I take everything I've said back. Timo Werner is going to score a hat trick in every game from now on. And
couldn't even
if
know it.
he doesn't, I'm going to get Timo tattooed on my forehead.
Wow, wow, that's a bold claim. Um, yes, where do I go from there? Um, it was so ultimately for me. I think he mightn't have been amazing, but for me, Pogba looks a different player in a France team and a France shirt.
But why
Um,
is that? It's because of Kante.
yeah, exactly. That was the point I was about to make. Thank you for
Yeah.
mentioning, Luke.
Well, you're welcome. I'm just despairing at Timo Werner over here. So Pogba has so much more freedom, don't you think, off the back of Kante?
Yeah, 100%. He looks so much more relaxed because he doesn't have mixed sauce behind him. You know, going, I'm sorry, I let the ball go." And so
He's Scottish, mate.
that was my Scottish.
Oh dear.
Well,
Oh dear.
it was a voice. It was a voice. It wasn't very good, but yeah. Look, for me, both teams look great. I actually was thinking Germany could give Portugal a real game. That was, I think Portugal could be in for a tough game against Germany. Well, both teams, to be honest. And
Yeah.
I think we might still be right with the first, second, third positioning, but I actually think it could be very close with that second, third. I think it's going to be very, very spicy indeed.
Yeah. We see Pogba. France didn't have that much of the ball.
Nope.
Pogba had 78 touches.
Hmm.
In this team, he's the type of player who actually wants to get the ball. And I
Hmm.
think what he loves as well is Mbappe. And he knows that he can try a ball and Mbappe will try and get there.
Yeah.
I think that is so comforting as a midfield player to know that you can just attempt to get the ball to someone. He only had 77 possession or accurate passes percent accurate passes.
Good
I'll spit
job.
it out
Good
there
job.
eventually. Honestly, I can speak. Um, but I like that because he's not having to play simple passes in this France
Mhm.
team. What he is trying is dangerous through balls and yeah, killer balls to break down a relatively slow German defense. But
Yep.
Pogba had freedom. He looked good. He was also good defensively when he needed to be. You know, aerial duels, he won 80%. 9 out of 15 ground duels won. He was actually doing the hard job as well, knowing that
Mhm.
if he didn't quite get it right, there's the greatest defensive midfielder in the world just behind him to run in, take the ball, and smile the whole time.
So true. And that wrapped up match day one of the Euros,
It did.
um, which was like great. We're already a third of the way through the group stages. And then today, or for podcast listeners, yesterday, was the start of match day two. Now, we're going to go straight to the Wales game because for me, this was very, very similar to the Northern Ireland game from 5 years ago that we talk about in the podcast intro. If you want to go listen to that, that's exclusive to audio listeners. We discussed the 5 year anniversary of the Kings of Leon when Northern Ireland beat Ukraine 2-0 at Euro 2016. But today in Baku, Wales had a must win game against Turkey with a very strong Turkey crowd. I think there was something like 29,000 Turkey fans to Wales's 400. and that's not 400,000. That's just 400, obviously. Um, Wales turned up. That's all. That's all I can say. Wales showed up tonight, and
And Gareth Bale showed up despite
yeah,
the fact that he missed a
apart from the
penalty.
penalty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but all things considered, had a fantastic game. It makes sense playing him on the left with Dan James on the right, doesn't it?
Do you know who else showed up as well? Yeah, yes, it does. And you know who else showed up after you calling him out on Sunday show? Aaron Ramsey showed up.
He
Aaron
did.
Ramsey showed up, and he played very well. In fact, a lot of that Wales team played well. I'm just looking at the stats. Gareth Bale got a 9.9. That is nuts.
Considering he missed a penalty.
Yeah, considering he missed the penalty, like he really did show up. Do you know what Gareth Bale's great at with Wales is he's a leader there. He's a leader
Yeah.
there, and he loves it. And I was listening to an interview with him today, and he was talking about how much he loves kind of the Wales squad and being the leader there, and kind of rallying the boys together and all that kind of thing. And I thought he put in a leader's performance. I thought he
He
put in a
really
real
did.
leader's performance.
He really did. You look at his stats and you think 2 crosses attempted, none completed, and you're like, oh dear,
Yeah,
maybe he didn't have a great game. But long balls played, 83% passing accuracy, and ultimately 2 assists.
yep.
Got the assist for both goals. He showed Wales what they needed to do in the sweltering heat. I thought it was interesting because Gareth Bale is probably one of the only players who's used to playing in that type of heat
Mm-hmm.
in Madrid. Obviously, it's slightly warmer than it would be in Madrid. But the rest of the players looked sweaty.
Oh
They
yeah.
did not have a good time, and I was gutted. I think the only player in Wales who had a bad game, who played most of the game, was wee Joe Allen.
He wasn't bad, but he wasn't. I don't think anybody played badly. I think he was just probably the least good of everyone, if that makes sense. Like
Well,
he played well. If you look at his stats here, 85% passing accuracy, 3 long balls attempted, 2 accurate, but overall kind of didn't do much. I think that's why his score's so low because he actually didn't do a lot, but he was fine. Do you know? I think that's the best way to describe him. He was fine. And
yeah, and
he showed great character for kind of all
yeah,
I could say.
it just makes me sad watching him
Mm,
play now because he's not the same player that we've had playing
mm,
in the Potteries for the last wee while. Dan James and Gareth Bale, we talked about them the other day
yeah,
and said this team is very much a classic winger setup
yep,
with a big man through the middle, and I think that setup absolutely threw off Turkey.
totally, totally threw them off. Gareth Bale and Dan James's pace absolutely tore their fullbacks apart. And I was watching the game and I was thinking, Dan James needs to frig out of Manchester,
Yeah,
go to a mid-table club and
yeah,
shine because
absolutely.
I've slagged him off at United, and the reason I slag him off at United is because he isn't good enough for United, in my opinion. He isn't good enough. However, he plays at a club. And I don't know if Mikey would agree. I think he might be good at West Ham. I think he'd be a good West Ham player. He might fit that system quite well, and also that's a decent level. Still Europa League football. Do you know what I mean? Could be a good club for him. Even somewhere else like an Aston Villa, somewhere like that, might be a good shout for Dan James because I thought he was very good tonight. Him and Bale were excellent, as we said. Aaron Ramsey was really good. Danny Ward made some unbelievable saves. And boy, oh boy, am I glad I put him in my fantasy team. I thought that was going to pay off. And he got the clean sheet, got me 6 points. Absolute scenes. You do love to see it. Overall, team performance, really good. Turkey have disappointed, ultimately. This tournament, they came in with quite high expectations because they they came in with a decent record coming to this tournament. People thought they might do well. They'd done well in World Cup qualifying, and I think they are pretty much out essentially. I know Wales have guaranteed third place now, which is great, and they're definitely going to go through. 4 points will be enough in third place to go through. But what do you think of the result overall, Luke? And any other thoughts on the performance?
Yeah, Turkey largely similar to what we saw in the first game, which is really
Yeah,
disappointing.
yeah,
I I wanted more from them. Did really enjoy the fight at the end. Not gonna lie.
I'm going to bring that up at the end. I want to talk about a
Per-
particular individual. Bring it up now
Perfect.
if you want. But
Yeah, let's talk about the fight, Joe. Talk me through it.
so there was a foul in the Wales box. I think it was it Yilmaz is his name. Had fouled one of the defenders. He went over to comfort them and like essentially hit them in the face. Right. Ben Davies then goes nuts. He like shoves him to the ground. But I want to give a shout out to Ethan Ampadu because he was actively trying to stop. He was saying to Yilmaz, "Calm down, mate. Calm down, mate." Like he was trying to stop everyone. And then there was a shot when it was a big brawl. There was a big brawl then because Yilmaz went for someone and there was a brawl for all basically. But Ethan Ampadu's going to the Wales players. He's going like this: "Keep your heads, lads. Keep your heads." Now he's a young player, right? I thought it showed great character. I just got Phil Brennan Rodgers there. But I thought he showed a level of maturity that you wouldn't expect from someone that age. He was going about saying, "Right, guys, keep the heads, keep the heads. There's 5 minutes to go. Keep the heads."
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. 20 years old, but
yeah,
playing with confidence, playing with experience, having played various clubs across Europe,
yeah.
to gain experience. I think that has done him a world of good. And yeah, very impressive from such a young player. And ultimately, Wales did keep their heads and managed to score their second late on. Turkey
Oh,
probably were completely gone.
that was nuts. Because Gareth Bale did that twice in a row. Literally, the first quarter, that skill was nuts when he went round him and then went down the line. Nuts, right? That was the first time they got a corner from that. He then goes to the other side. And he just went, "I'll just do the exact same thing. You know what, lads? I'll just do the exact same thing." Played it back to Connor Roberts, and all he could do was slot it in for a 2-0 win. What a win for Wales. Exactly. It just parallels to the Northern Ireland game from 2 years ago. We mentioned that before, where they should have, Robbie Savage is screaming on commentary, "Keep it in the corner, keep it in the corner." And then they're just like, "No, all right, we'll just score a second one." So,
Absolutely. And in that group, we then see Wales on 4 points, but we
yeah.
see Italy sitting top with 6 points. Ah, 3 shots on target Italy had tonight. They
what
won
a
3 nil.
what a clinical record.
They won 3
Um,
nil. They had 14 or 13 shots, sorry. 7 off target, 3 blocked, and 3 on target. Immobile scored and he got a 6.1.
yeah, it's not good.
He's had a shocker there. Italy look like they're doing a job. Chiellini getting injured tonight, I think, will be big
Mm,
in terms of leadership, depending on how long that's going to last. But I thought Locatelli really showed his quality tonight.
yep, 100%. Um, it's it's just one of those things. Like, this is the thing that we talked about before with England and things that ultimately it doesn't matter how you play, but if you get the wins, then that's all you need in these major tournaments because you're not playing over a whole season. Um,
Yeah,
but does it inspire me with confidence? Not really, because Switzerland are a top 10 team in the world, by the way, which is just crazy. I really don't think they're that good. Um, in my opinion, Italy will not face a top tier club or a top tier nation, sorry, until the knockouts, and that's when we'll really see where they're at.
yeah.
Um, I thought Turkey were going to be that was like a bad game for Turkey. I thought that was going to be like a one-off bad game, but it wasn't. So they haven't really been tested yet. 2-3-0 wins, consistency. You do love to see it. Um, but they've qualified, guaranteed
I
with
will
that
be
win.
curious to see what it looks like for Italy against Wales because neither of them really like having the ball that much.
Yeah, yeah,
They're not teams that will sit and have a lot of possession. So I imagine Italy will have more, but I'd be so excited to see Gareth Bale if he plays anything like he did today, and Dan James if he played the same, what they
yeah,
will be like against
absolutely.
Italy's defence and try and test them. Granit Xhaka was really the only player who had a solid enough game for Switzerland today, just kind of ticking things over, but
Hmm.
attacking wise, not really much happened. But it's
Yeah,
hard to know, and there's not really much more to say about Italy. They've been professional, 2 3-0 wins, 2 clean sheets, very well played in some senses. But yes, very curious to see what happens in the game against Wales.
But in Group A, just before we briefly mention the other game today, um, what you have now is Italy are top with 6 points, Wales are second with 4, Switzerland are third with 1, and Turkey are fourth with none. So what Wales want is a Turkey win or even a draw
Yep.
in that game, and they'll finish second of their group.
Yeah.
Like that's nuts. Regardless if
Huge.
Italy beat them or not, that's mad. So that's congratulations to Wales. Fair play. They played really well today, and deserve a crack again at the knockout stages. I think after that game, especially with the way the Euros works, I think they
Yeah.
deserve a crack. Finally, just briefly before we head on, Finland played Russia at 2 o'clock. I was at work. I missed this game, which I'm not exactly gutted about. But it's an interesting one for that group now. Finland have won a game. Belgium have won one. They've played one. They play Denmark tomorrow. Russia have won. It'll be a very interesting turn up for the books tomorrow night if Denmark beat Belgium, and all teams will be sitting on 3 points.
I'd love to see that. That'd be
I
fun.
think it'd be
That'd be
class.
so fun.
It'll be class. I think it'll be class. I agree. Just briefly at the stats. Very low expected goals from both teams. Russia had more possession, shots. Again, 3 shots on target from 14 shots. Finland only managed 1 shot on target from 11 shots. And apart from that, there isn't really much to say other than
Finland's
Turkey had a
disallowed
poor game.
goal. Finland's
Yeah,
disallowed goal
yeah.
was close. They tried. It was so close, and I felt for them because I thought that was going to be nice. Their first goal in terms of a normal game of football, and would have been a lovely moment for him to repeat that almost and claim both of their first 2 goals in what has been a strange week for them as a team. They lost in the end, not overly surprising, a result that I expected. Russia, also very average. Don't really expect them to win their next game against Denmark. So imagine one of these 2 teams could go through as the third place, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah, I agree. Although if they both lose their next game, then they might not. So we'll see what happens. But that'll do us for tonight. That was the last 8 games summarized in about 45 minutes or so. Luke, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. We're back on Sunday at 10 o'clock again after the game on Sunday night.
Absolutely. And we'll chat through all of match day 2. We'll chat all of it that happens now because we've only seen Group A and one game from Group A. And no, two games
from Group A.
Group A and one from Group B, and we'll see all the other ones, and then we'll start match day 3 on Sunday as well. Mad. So lots and lots to talk about. Thanks, Mikey, for your lovely words. Guys, check us out on Apple, Spotify, and Google if you haven't already, and we will see you on Sunday.
Sunday night, be there or be square. Good night, guys.